So hello everyone and welcome to the Show Art Podcast. I'm your host Ross Baxter and today is episode 80 of the show. Today on the show we've got an amazing game designer for you. We've got Jake Shoesmith on the show. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man. It's a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to answering some questions and just kind of doing a little back and forth interview.
Perfect. So, as always, folks, today on the show we're going to be diving into the world of game design, you name it, and we're going to be obviously doing the 500 seconds. We know the rules. It's never 500 seconds right then. It's always a bunch of random questions, you name it. And by gosh, do I have killer questions for Jake today. So, first things first, Jake, just tell us a wee bit about yourself and we'll take it from there.
So my name's Jake Shoesmith, I guess as you see by the title or however this is published. I do game slash level design for Just Add Water here in Leeds. We're working on Sniper Elite VR. So I've been doing this around coming close to 2 years. So I started as a junior there and then now on to like a regular game designer.
Yeah.
That's kind of the game side of me.
Perfect.
I grew up in this. Actually grew up like very close to Leeds, kind of Bradford, sort of just close towards Bradford area in between Leeds and Bradford. Went to university in York, and somehow managed to land in Leeds again. So it's quite nice to be close. Yeah, quite nice to be close to everything. You know, especially growing up around this place.
I've got a random question because I don't know why I didn't ask Oliver this, but are you by any chance a Leeds United fan?
Do you know what? I'm not, but I know a lot of people. I know this is the thing.
Because I am.
I have a feeling. Were you gonna? This is just a side note. Were you gonna come over to visit Aaron at some point?
Yeah, I was.
So
basically planning on visiting some point.
Yeah, so I'm coming along to that as well. Yeah, we spoke about. I remember he asked me about this. He was like, "Oh, do you want to come to a Leeds game?" I was like, yeah, of course. Because before I actually moved into Leeds with like last summer, because my parents live fairly close, so I lived there for like a year.
Yeah.
And I used to do like the park and ride to work. So I used to park next to Ellen Road where the Leeds ground is.
That's what I'm talking about.
The Leeds games, the days of Leeds games, I had to get straight out of work, like run straight down Leeds to the bottom, get on the park and ride bus because they stop the buses at like 6:10 because all the Leeds fans is mad.
Oh, dude, this is so awesome because like my whole family I don't know. I think it was so I'm a diehard like football fan, and my whole childhood was like sport and Leeds, etc. So when Aaron said the first time that he was moving to Leeds, I was like, damn you, man.
After getting to a game.
Yeah, I was like, oh, come on, this could be like a full opportunity to like go to Ellen Road non-stop, like just have the whole family. Like, I need to come down at some point and just catch up and just actually go to a game because my dad.
I was gonna say I'd love to.
Oh, dude, I'm totally down. We could just get a group of us. It'd be great. But thank you so much. It was a bit of a random section for me to bring up, but I think it's that's what podcasts are all about. It's all about the good conversations. But I could talk about Leeds United all day, but I'll try not to get distracted because we're also going to be talking about Counter-Strike. We're going to be talking about game design, etc. You name it. We're going to take it from there. But first things first, what kind of got you into game design? Like, why was it game design? Was it always a thing that you wanted to do?
So, as a whole, I've always wanted to do some form of like visual design, or in some sense that in like the creative side. But actually, just before I got the job as a games designer at university, I studied a course called interactive media. So it was basically, think of like you take the programming stuff from computer science, and maybe you take like a games design or games art course, and you kind of put those two together. But it wasn't all games focused. It was like some software, web design, some like application stuff, apps, like all new media, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And towards the end of that, I was employed as a graphic designer, and I really enjoyed that. And I always say games have always been a massive passion to me, and I always wanted to get into like the industry, but I was quite enjoying the graphic design side of things. And the more I did it, the more I found I was working on my own. So it was I was kind of like, even though I was doing it alongside my dissertation, and there was like a real chance for me to have a job.
Yeah.
But I kind of found I want to work with a team. Like I prefer collaborative work and like, going back and forth. I don't like to just sit there and stare at my own thing and go, oh, this is as good as it can be, when I could take it to somebody else and be like, what do you think of this?
Of course.
Feedback. It's the whole cycle. I like to get the best possible thing, and I'm not bothered about what people say about it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like I would rather somebody give feedback on something, and that's what I found with the graphic design is like I was kind of doing it on my own. I was
Yeah.
like in my own in a room, just kind of like okay. And this job kind of came up, and it was kind of like the perfect time for it because I just done my dissertation, which was all based on VR stuff. And
Oh,
obviously,
sick.
so at the time, obviously, I didn't know that it was Sniper, but obviously, when I got there, all that kind of stuff, and it was just kind of like just a good time for those two things to kind of come together. And they were looking for a designer. I'd done this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and on top of that, like super early influences for me in terms of like levels were definitely I when I was like you're not young enough to have like Xbox Live, but younger than that, I'm talking like a PlayStation 2 original
Yeah,
Xbox,
yeah.
even like sort of like Dreamcast time. I just remember a lot on my original Xbox. I used to play loads of like Time Splitters. I used to do a lot of
Wait,
like
what's it called? Sorry.
custom Time Splitters too.
Oh gosh, I need. Oh right,
Yeah,
okay, sorry. Yeah, yeah, okay.
yeah,
Sorry.
the free radical. So I used to do a lot of like level building on that. I mean, they were all quite bad probably because I was
Here, no,
like
childhood
nine,
memories are
10
the
at the
best
time.
games,
Yeah,
dude.
exactly. That's what I mean. And then when I was like a little bit older, it was a lot of stuff where I was playing like loads of like Halo 3, Forge and stuff like that with
Mm-hmm.
friends and like custom maps. And this, I think that kind of like sparks it at least in terms of I kind of enjoy this side of you can kind of like craft how things are done.
Yeah.
And another big thing that I really like is one of my favorite games is Bioshock. And
Okay.
like one of the things about that is I played that basically when it came out. Obviously, I was quite young at the time, but that's kind of left an impression on me at the time of just how well that could tell a story. And
Yeah.
it's not necessarily that I prefer more like narrative or linear design, but
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like the idea of creating like these kind of experiences. That's why, personally, to me, one of the things I would really want to work on is like a horror game.
Oh yeah. Oh dude,
Yeah,
there'll be so much opportunity.
exactly. Yeah, just out of like, I feel like it's one of those ones where you really have to think about like what how it goes forward. You know, you can't make it cheap. You can't make it. You have to really think about how to craft these kind of scares or experiences per se. I guess yeah, use the word experiences like how to really make these things
Yeah.
something that somebody will remember. But those are definitely like influences to me. Those kind of like
That's
level building games and little bits like that.
that is so cool. I've realized, but there's been a massive trend on the podcast in the last 4 or 5 episodes. Everyone's literal childhood game was Halo. Everyone's saying Halo at the moment. It's like it wasn't intentional, but everyone's like Halo, Halo, Halo.
I think it's a mix of depends because if you get people on that around the age of I guess like
Like us,
20 to
yeah.
26, 7, that's around the time where obviously it was like the peak of like Xbox and
Of course.
Halo 3 Online. And I think it's also the fact that the Master Chief Collection has just come out on PC, so it's kind
Oh,
of fresh
nice.
in everyone's mind that it's the thing that everyone remembers.
Are you right? So, I always like to say because my growing up was always Call of Duty, and like right now I'm so like geeking out with this Warzone. Have you checked it out at all?
So I didn't mention it, but even though I said I played a lot of Halo, my other
Hmm.
one was definitely COD 4 and Modern Warfare 2. That
Yeah,
was like
classic. Gotta be.
all the time, like all. It was in that period. It was definitely like 35% Halo
Hmm.
and maybe like yeah, it's like 65 Modern Warfare 2, just constant on
Oh,
friends,
Modern Warfare 2. Yeah,
Xbox party chat, on there. I'm literally before I started this because I was out last night. I just started to download it, and I'm going to
okay.
download it overnight and play it tomorrow.
Yeah,
I've got some friends that have just played it, and they've said like it's actually quite good for a battle royale, like in terms of the
yeah.
map size and stuff that's on it.
It's oh man, it looks so sick because I've not downloaded it, but I spent literally my while I was working away yesterday, I had it on in the background because the really cool thing, and this is so awesome to have you on as well, because I know you like esports, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
esports is what I love as well. So like I've always been in the Call of Duty scene, so I watch. Have you ever heard of Optic? Well, he's no longer Optic,
Yeah,
but do you ever watch Scumpy?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like Scumpy, so he's like the guy I always watch. I watch him here every day. Him and Formal, because Formal used to play Halo, and it's just like so watching these guys playing Warzone, and it's just madness. Like Scumpy yesterday got to number 1 on the leaderboard in the first day, and then last night I realized Summit 1G was still playing. Summit was playing for
Oh,
like 30 hours straight. I was like,
just
what a madness!
just constantly streaming. Yeah,
Just
yeah.
constantly grinding it.
Esports is definitely like when you were talking about sports earlier. I was kind of like, the way that you were talking about it, that's how I've always felt about esports. Really, I've
Yeah.
never been like not vocal about it. It's always good. Especially I've quite a lot of friends from like university, and we would
Hmm.
watch stuff like the like league championship and the Overwatch like World Cup and stuff like that, and like a lot of ESL and like DreamHack events for Counter Strike. We kind
Yeah.
of I find it they're very interesting, especially when people give them a chance and actually start to understand, as like I guess as a concept.
Yeah.
It
Of
becomes
course.
very it's quite interesting because you can take different games in esports and kind of compare them to traditional sports.
Hmm.
In terms of like maybe which ones are better for crowds, which ones are better for like pure like scene skill and stuff like that. Like Counter Strike is definitely one of those like crowd games. Like
Yeah.
it'd be one of those ones where even though I've been into esports for like a good 7 years now
Hmm.
since I started like playing League, I've still unfortunately never been to like any proper events.
Oh, dude, I'm the
Tried,
same. It's the worst.
every time I've tried to go to one, like some things either I've had to like go on holiday, or I've been doing something, or like that event's not happening that year or stuff like that. So
Hmm.
I'm trying to make it at some point.
Hmm. Because like that's the thing as well, and this is one question I wanted to ask about like Counter Strike in this, and just related to game design as a whole. So I've watched bits of Counter Strike, but I've never played it before. But I did watch or had like glimpses when Optic Gaming a few years back bought their first ever Counter Strike team. And
Yeah,
the
yeah.
one question I was always wondering is like, what do you think game designers could learn, because it's so playable? Like they played the same maps over and over again, and why do you think they are so successful? I know it's probably a bit of a random one, but I'm just wondering what you think
No,
on that.
I spoke about this with people, and I kind of think so. With like some of the Counter Strike maps, there's a reason. I think it's because I'm trying to think of how to kind of articulate it, but
Yeah, yeah, take
I
your time.
I do actually think a lot of the maps aren't the best, but because they've been around for so long, they're
Mhm.
the norm, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like they literally cannot change them because people know them like the back of their hand kind of thing.
Mhm.
You couldn't make massive changes to, like, for example, uh, like take Dust 2 for example.
Mhm.
Um I don't think any multiplayer map personally you should be able to see from one spawn to the other,
Yeah.
because that's essentially what you can do. You can snipe down the center within 5 seconds and see the enemies.
Yeah.
Like I personally think that's kind of a big sight line. Like no, maybe move away from that. But because that's been all the way from like 1.6 and even earlier of Counter Strike, it's one of those that it became the fan favorite, and you can't really do much to change that.
Mhm.
But then again, the one thing I found from it is when they do like these little map packs every so often from when I used to play like quite a lot.
Okay.
And I always found some of those a little bit more creative in terms of like levels
Mhm.
compared to like a lot of the traditional Counter Strike maps. But I think especially with the Counter Strike maps, is this what I was talking about earlier, where you either design a level to be like linear, something like an Uncharted level, where you can kind of script events, things happen.
Mhm.
Multiplayer maps, I personally think, are probably really hard to make
Yeah. There's
because
just
you
so much
obviously
more
have
going
to
on.
balanced, obviously equal sides, that kind of thing. There has to be so much iteration on them.
Yeah, like that's always been the thing though. It's like, for example, I'm never really like a harsh critic on COD, because I just really enjoy it. But COD's a very like the community, like everyone literally like is the only thing they ever care about is good maps, which makes sense. But it's like that's like when
Good
you
maps
see,
and spawns.
yeah,
That's
and
like the
spawns,
two
yeah,
things.
dude, spawns. Oh my god! And it's just like when you see someone who like and like there's lots of people who obviously like they'll complain about things not looking the way they are or they don't work, but you understand where they're coming from as well. But it's just like there's so much things that makes things work, but the only way for people to find the answer out is by giving the crowd audience that they're trying to target a ghost, to like just throw them into the deep end. Like for example, Warzone's out at the moment, see what happens, see if there's any major changes to make, and then just take it from there.
Mm. I think like in terms of that, just dropping stuff. I guess that's kind of what like Apex did to an extent with the
Yeah.
map. Just threw it out there. I mean, dropped the whole game, I guess, to an extent, and then just
Yeah.
made changes on top of that.
So when it comes to, so I understand obviously like you nailed it there perfectly. So you're talking about linear, etc. You name it. Like there's different types of making good levels and stuff. But is there anything? Well, actually, just start off with this main question. I know it's a bit of a big one, but what's like the main thing that makes a game designer successful? Like what stands out to you the most?
To me personally, I think I as a I guess obviously game design in terms of what I do involves a lot, because obviously we're a smaller company, involves a lot of different areas.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, like what I'd say to me, a crucial thing is the white boxing, is knowing what to do with the white box and getting that right.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's less on like the gameplay side because that can kind of be iterated, but I really feel like the white box. That's like personally to me, the thing that I like to practice a lot is doing white boxing in my spare time.
Yep.
Because I feel like that's one of the crucial things as a game designer to kind of get correct, because it is like it's the skeleton of your whole like
Yep.
level. It's the it's the thing that everyone else builds on top of.
So what are you like experiment? Are you like just one of the things that I realize is that naturally, like even I do like I'll admit like all the time is like sometimes I get carried away with trying to make maybe a product too big or etc. and the scope's maybe far too extreme. But is there any advice you would give to getting better at the white boxing etc.?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I even do it myself. I'll start something, I'll start this section. I'll think, okay, this is where we're going to start, and then I'll think,
Mm-hmm.
oh no, maybe we can start further back, and then I'll build something underneath, like a sewer or something, and it just starts getting, crazy. And so, well, the thing that I like to do is get some paper stuff down very briefly of kind of what I would want in the level. So at the moment, I've been messing around with kind of like doing white boxes in the styles of how games do their levels.
Okay,
So
nice.
I'll kind of look at a level from a certain game, look at the things that make it. Like, do they have a lot of scripted events? Do they have a lot of these things? Obviously, I won't actually put those in. I'll just kind of annotate them or something in a video.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like to do a bit of a paper design. The thing I found is constantly I like to take it from like Maya into either Unity or Unreal and just walk through and
Yeah.
kind of see the tread time, like how long it kind of takes to get through it, including okay, if there's an enemy here, maybe I'm waiting here for so long, so and so. It's quite hard when you don't have these placeholder assets, like actual working enemies.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it all comes down to a lot of time is on paper. Like
Of
if
course.
it works well on paper, it at least gives it a step up for when you're doing the white boxing.
Yeah, like that's always been the thing as well because when I was first, so I do environment art, like that's my thing. So, but the biggest thing I think so many educations need to kind of get across more of, even though I understand that there is lots of places that do it well, but there's also places that maybe should cover these areas a bit more, is the fact that environment artists are obviously designed or like their job is to create art etc. However, it's like the type of art that they make is the most important and the reason for making it, and like tying it to the story, because story at the end of the day is the main thing. So like when you're making, or like if you had to give artists, like even character artists as well, like what advice do you think character artists and environment artists could do better, like in terms of their approach to making the game design better? Do you know what I mean, like the interaction between the two?
Yeah, okay, yeah, I know what you mean. One thing I would say, especially I guess within a studio,
Mm-hmm.
if you're, let's say you're starting off, is just communication for one. I think don't be afraid to speak to the people.
Yeah.
Like there's no need to, obviously, because at the end of the day, it's the environment artist's job to do the environment art, and it's the designer's job to do the design, and you don't want to kind of step into each other's areas. The environment artist doesn't want to be changing the design. The designer doesn't want to be telling the environment artist to like, okay, put this here, put a tree. To obviously to a higher degree, to like
Of
kind
course.
of micro level, like micromanagement. I think it really comes down to working better. Really, does come down to communication at the end of it. I think
Yeah.
communication solves like
All the problems.
99% of issues. Yeah, at the end of it, yeah, really.
It's always the case. But that's the end of the day. Like that's the great thing. Like when you said communication, because it just nailed things and summarizes things as a whole. Because it's, how can I say it? Like at the end of the day, everyone wants to just make a better game, and when
Everybody's on the same side. You know what I mean?
yeah,
There's no.
like as long as you don't get carried away, like or get so like I like to raise this point quite a lot in the podcast, is because at the end of the day it's like you don't own the work, if you know what I mean. Like you want to make sure that
Mm,
at the end of the day you're just working well efficiently and just having fun making it, because so many people get sidetracked as in like, oh, this has to be a wee bit better looking etc. But then again, you have to think long term. Like, is this going to affect the game or not? Like, it might be such a small thing. Like,
it might
you
work for
don't even
you,
need to
but it
touch it. If you
might.
know what I mean?
Yeah, it might work for you, but it might affect everything else, kind of thing.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
on that note, I think it would be to kind of not saying everybody does, but obviously everybody's got a slight ego. I guess it would be to leave that at the door, kind of
Yeah,
thing. Like you said, everybody wants to work towards me. Nobody's going into it to make a poor product, obviously.
of
You
course.
know, sometimes it's not a studio's fault. Obviously, it's never the work of the if things go wrong on projects, obviously it's never the individual like worker's like fault.
Yeah,
So at the end of the day, everybody wants to make a good product.
of course.
So as long as you're working together, and at least you can all kind of go for that one goal instead of one person potentially thinking, okay, I think I know better than this other person potentially, on like a
Yeah.
level or something like that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for saying that.
No,
So the next question. So this is an interesting one. This is probably well, to me this was the hardest one in my eyes, and I was just wondering, what do you think is the hardest thing about game design?
the hardest thing.
I was trying to figure out, even myself, how to answer this. Like if you had to kind of,
Yeah,
or another way for me to rephrase it was, for example, is there anything maybe you didn't expect to be in game design that is, and it's become a challenge?
I I think one thing really is it's not necessarily hard, but it's stuff that you forget about.
Mm-hmm.
Like I guess weapons balancing is technically design. It
Yeah.
is
Right. Okay.
even
Nice.
though in a larger company that would fall on because obviously bigger companies you have obviously it spans off into multiple roles. You have like mission scripters who are technical or mission designers. You have like level designers,
Mm-hmm.
game designers. Obviously, I with the company size that we're at, I get to kind of do all these things, which is very good for me because it means I get to learn all these different areas, get to be well experienced. But
Yeah.
obviously, then that means all of these like more GDD kind of like jobs and things like that fall on the designers. So things like weapons balancing,
Mm-hmm.
making sure that these kind of things are correct, like those, like just things like that you don't
Yeah.
think of. That you're like, oh, like this is something that actually has to be addressed.
Of course. Well, that's the thing, because I'm really glad, because my mind just completely forgot about all that. Because do you every time when you're playing a first-person shooter or whatever, and it's like every people are like the guns are OP or
Yeah,
everything's
yeah.
maybe misbalanced and that. But then again, so what's your thoughts? Like speaking on this subject, do you actually like it though when it's OP? Because I do. Everyone likes it when it's a powerful weapon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I think this is what it comes down to. Um, if it's affecting others. So
Mm-hmm.
single player games, I think it's fine. I think you can
Okay.
have like that kind of stuff in. I think there's a reason why something like Doom is like so fun to play because it feels maybe all the weapons aren't as powerful as they look, but obviously all areas, animation, art, sound all come together to make something like this feel powerful.
Mm-hmm.
You take that into a multiplayer game and that's when I guess the frustration comes into it because then it starts affecting other people
Of
because then it
course.
doesn't make it as balanced. I think that's one good thing from as we were talking about that Modern Warfare does quite well
Mm-hmm.
is that even though they have some overpowered weapons from when I've played it,
Mm-hmm.
every weapon feels powerful enough because of its like sound and animation. Like
Yeah.
they feel good.
Definitely. Oh, dude, this is awesome. There's so many great topics we can go down. Because instantly when you said right at the start, like the importance of balancing, like there's so many things that come into play, and like when things start getting hectic, you need to also be able to balance things out as well, and in terms of like the timing of everything, because timing is so crucial, and it's
Yeah,
like that's the one thing like. I have so much appreciation. Is like, do you know when people get slack for whether something's been I don't know too extreme in that, but it's like these people like are trying things out to see what works, and it's like it's getting a crowd or an audience to learn to accept that.
like different metas, I guess, in
Yeah,
esports if you're looking at it that way.
of course, because at the end of the day, it's like there's so many different markets and like everyone runs things differently. Obviously, you can you take ideas from different like that's the beauty of it. It's like there's so many different games out there. Like you can literally just like for example, I'm speaking a lot about Call of Duty at the moment just because my mind is Call of Duty. But there's so many mechanics that they can take from like the next or like the most successful recent games, etc., and just trying to build them together and like every
Which, yeah,
on you
I
go.
don't, I was gonna say I don't think that's a bad thing. I know
Mm-hmm.
some people like kind of look against that, like with the newest Modern Warfare when it kind of got a lot of it got shown off. A
Yeah.
lot of people weren't necessarily criticizing it, but were kind of saying it's got very battlefieldy
Mm-hmm.
feel to it, with a lot of the
Yeah.
destruction. Which
Definitely.
I don't think that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like
Of
if it's
course.
been built well into it, then I think it works.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's like it's all the story thing. I think so many. It's. I know it's really hard when people have like say they have such a passion for something, and it's really hard to kind of get people out of that kind of it doesn't feel like this game anymore. But then again, things evolve, and
Hmm.
it's trying to like we do say one of the main things a game designer has to be able to do is like adapt.
And yeah, I guess this is where we come on to again the whole like multiplayer. single player thing because I guess with let's say you're doing design for a single player project,
Mm-hmm.
you don't really have to adapt much because when it's out, it's out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's the work done. It's these kind of games as a service, I guess. So things like like
Yeah.
Overwatch, multiplayer things where you have to really adapt to certain styles. But then I guess the backside to that is that Counter Strike will always be Counter Strike. The
True.
maps will always be the maps aren't going to be like a COD map.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be like a map you've seen like Overwatch to an extent. Like they're always
Yeah.
going to be Counter Strike like style maps.
Yeah.
So I really don't think that in terms of like weapons and the gameplay that has to adapt. But I don't think a lot of the levels really do a crazy
Yeah.
amount. So because again, a lot of people like to stay to the style of certain
Mm-hmm.
you know like maps and games.
Of course. Well, like, that's the thing. Like you nailed it there. So it's basically like, there's a balance of consistency. So there's like things you have to stay true to. Then there's the things that are like okay to get a bit risky with it. If you know what I mean.
Mm.
It's not just trying to figure out what
Um,
works, and that's where the trial and error is.
I guess a good example of it is like Rainbow Six Siege.
Oh right. Okay.
So what I find I really like about theirs is I was watching something they spend they spend months on the white box alone
Right. Nice.
because they have to do so much iteration on that. But the kind of core rooms that they have and paths, they spend so long making sure that they are like perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But then they kind of have that kind of center, and then the outside, obviously, whatever the environment's based in, obviously is always different,
Yeah.
and it always feels different, but it has always got that same kind of like feel to it, I guess.
Of course. Wait. So when you're saying that, so is it makes the perfect map? So have you had to? I know it's such a hard question to answer, probably, but if you had to say to a game designer right now, what would you say is like the thing that describes, like, if you had to like describe the perfect map in your kind of description? How would you kind of go about it? Like, what would you say makes something successful?
I think
I know it's a big one.
no, I think I guess I'll go with what I know because obviously I'm working on like single player kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, so
Yeah.
more linear. I think things that make a good map, I would say personally, keeping people engaged for one.
Definitely.
Like you were saying, like beats, you have to have your highs and you have to have your lows. I think one of the things that people forget is you can't, to an extent, I guess I've seen with some games and just like from experiences, you can't always just throw more enemies in to like
Mm-hmm.
fix areas. You need to have your high highs and your kind of low lows for these. That's the point of them being beats. You have your ups and downs.
Yeah.
I think that's like crucial to a level. It's obviously because you're trying to like at the end of the day, it's games as a media. You're trying to convey like emotions to the player and you want to keep people engaged. And I think that's one of the key things really is to kind of make sure those beats and flows are like really in line with
Yeah.
what you want for the level.
Awesome, what an answer. No, because that makes I was talking about Summit at the start of the podcast, and this just reminded me of what was happening. So he was playing Escape from Tarkov, and basically what was happening was, I'm not sure if it was a bug, but there's been this kind of stage in which there's like constant respawns of like I don't know what you call it, but just players constantly spawning in the same area. And it's like no matter wherever you're trying to navigate through, it's like you're so screwed so much times
Just
because
spawns
it's like
everywhere.
yeah, there's just like 50 guys, so like some bitch is like trying to navigate, and he's trying to loot every kill he's got, and then he's like constantly checking up and down, and it takes so long to loot. So it's like once again going back to that balancing act thing. It's like there's so much things going on. It's crazy.
I think the balancing definitely comes into it with like you were saying multiplayer stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
is crucial to get the experience right in those,
Yeah.
because obviously that's how you keep the audience really.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's like that's always like the thing. It's like the make or break moment, because like you never know. It's like people get like, for example, like the looting system. Like I never thought about it, but it's like I personally, I'm not sure what your thoughts are on it, but I think out of all the ones I've played, as simple as it sounds, but I think Fortnite probably does it the best because it's just simple, straight to the point.
Yeah, no,
Do you
I
agree?
agree with that. I agree with that. I think Apex is quite good as well,
Yeah.
and I think some of the most frustrating loot systems I have ever like used were when I didn't really get PUBG at the start, I found that
Hmm.
quite frustrating. And
Okay.
I've only played it on PC, but I've seen people play it on consoles, and that even looks like
It
a
looks so
mess
hard.
of how to use.
Yeah.
I remember when like I mean, it's not necessarily bad, but for the what I was playing at the time, I used to play when DayZ originally came out.
All right. Nice.
Played a
Right.
little bit of DayZ, but it was mainly I used to play some Arma 2, like the
Hmm.
game that obviously required for it.
Yeah.
And obviously that's a different kind of game to Escape from Tarkov, but it still has the same not fundamental idea, but you still in an area in a big kind of land with it's multiplayer. There's people on there,
Yeah.
and it has like a similar kind of loot system. Die, lose everything.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I personally found that quite frustrating because that was more to the point of obviously it's a military simulator. That's more to the point of like it's less streamlined. Whereas like you were saying with Fortnite, obviously there's a point to it. It's meant to be
Yeah.
fast paced. The loot system is very streamlined on Fortnite.
Yeah, well, like that's the thing. Is like every time I'm watching Escape from Tarkov, like the great thing, right? And this is the thing that goes back to what we are talking about earlier as a story. Is like there's that adrenaline rush. Like you're just like, right, I'm pumped because you have no idea what to expect. Like you're constantly. It's like imagine you're going into a haunted house and you don't know what's coming around that corner because everyone's literally walking so slow, and then suddenly you've got your kill, etc., and then you're spending half an hour trying to loot because it takes so long to loot.
Yeah, yeah. Someone pops out and you have to
Oh,
get
it's
hit again.
madness. Oh, it's just like, but that's a good thing as well, and I think that's like you might like disagree with me if you want. There's no harm in it. It's like I think that's what makes Escape from Tarkov successful though is the fact that it's like you're having to go through that adrenaline rush of trying to
Oh yeah,
quickly select things. You know what I mean?
definitely. I guess it's you make your own experiences as well. And
Yeah,
it's kind of what you get from it is someone else is going to get something else because they're on the receiving end of that,
yeah.
or you might be on the receiving end of what's happening.
Hmm.
In that game, whether if you're getting like ambushed or someone, there's always going to be two sides to everything.
Of course.
I mean, it's quite interesting.
Oh, like you just nailed a great word there as well. So it'd be great to talk about. So like user experience.
Yeah.
So I know we've kind of touched on it as well so far, but to you, what are like the main things that kind of stands out to you that makes user experience way better?
So I've only done like a little bit of yeah. I did some UI. I did quite a lot of UI and UX
Hmm.
stuff at university, but it was more on like app level, that kind of stuff, like
Okay.
engagement. I've done a little bit while working in games as well,
Hmm.
and I think what I would say is to not overcomplicate things. I think some of the
Okay.
best like UIs I've seen are very simple and straight to the point. There's you're not you're not trying to you're not trying to teach the person anything when you've got a UI. It's the UI is there for a reason to convey information,
Of course.
and it shouldn't be overcomplicated, really.
Hmm. Like at the end of the day, it's like thanks for answering that because I know it's a bit of a difficult question because like everyone's always asking about or I wouldn't say they're asking, they're always thinking about like design, etc., or like the best graphics and that, but like you said, people naturally overcomplicate so many things, or they
Yeah.
they add too many things, and like this is one of the games I actually think, well, it's one of the games I really enjoy, Sea of Thieves.
Oh yeah.
So I really like Sea of Thieves and just like the whole kind of story behind it, and it keeps it simple. There's no kind of extreme kind of process to the whole thing, and like you either kind of love it or you hate it. Like people were saying, oh, there's no like reward system, etc. But it's like it was so direct. It just like you knew what you were going to get out of it at the end of the day.
Yeah, I played it when it was first coming out, and I played it on PC on like the beta, like when it was like
Yeah,
the open beta, and I quite enjoyed it. But I do agree with that whole thing. Like you are literally on a ship, you go get treasure, you take it. I understand that from
yeah.
now they've added so much content,
Oh, dude, they've
but that
added
is like,
craziness.
yeah, yeah, that is like the base to it. And I guess back to just quickly on the UI thing.
Mhm,
I guess you also have to base it on what the game is. So
mhm.
obviously, if you do have a simulator, something that's meant to be that, you are going to have a more complicated because
Yeah,
you're pandering, you're kind of working towards the audience. I guess Sea of Thieves is kind of like that middle ground. Is it's not super like it's not. I wouldn't say it's super simple, and it's not super complex.
yeah,
That's why, as you were saying, it's got quite a nice, simple, kind of easy to understand, like straight to the point.
yeah. Like it literally just ties in. Like anyone can play it or learn it. Obviously, if you're going up against like the pros, like pace, etc., there's so many good pros you can
The
go up to. And you
upgraded
just
ships.
yeah, they're just like absolutely raiding. Like when you see like that's the worst thing though. It's like but that's what makes it so brilliant because it's pirate based. It's just like someone's like spent ages or hours of just getting all this treasure, and then like
Oh
one
yeah,
of the
that was my
biggest streamers,
experience.
one of the biggest streamers or whatever. He just comes over and just raids everything. He's like, see ya.
Yeah, that was I played it. It's like we did this raid for like follow this treasure map
Yeah,
on this island, like dug it up, defeated
some
like
skeletons.
some skeletons. It had some bananas, and then
Yeah.
left on the ship going back to the port. Oh, what's that in the distance? There's another boat.
Oh
The
god.
boat fires down. Our boat gets destroyed. The treasure's gone. I'm like,
Yeah, you're like
oh, that
back
was
to
a
square
good
one.
hour and 20 minutes. But I think again, I think that's like those experiences are what you make of it, especially if you're
Yeah,
doing it with friends.
definitely.
Just go for it again, kind of thing. Don't end after like one go, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's the thing as well. Like, I think that's the one thing. Like, if I had to, like, I think like Sea of Thieves is definitely up there with one of the games I really enjoy. However, it's one of those games that I need to be with a group in order to enjoy it, and I
So
think that's one of the downfalls. Personally, people may disagree, but we're not sure what your thoughts are.
I no, 100%. I've always found even my like, it's kind of a love hate, but like League of
Hmm.
Legends,
Yeah.
as much as I have played it so much, like in like a recent like year or two, I've not played it as often, but it's one of those ones that's like quite ingrained in like games that are kind of special to me. Uh, I could probably count on my hand the amount of times I've played on my own. Like
Yeah,
I don't, and that's after playing a good probably 1,000 hours of it or something like that.
definitely.
Like I'm not a massive fan of playing unless it's a single player game. I'm not a massive fan of playing multiplayer games on my own.
Yeah.
I always find them better to play with, like a group of friends. That's why, for example, I kind of value those experiences over others. So
Yeah.
if I'm playing something, and if for example, I've been playing Uncharted recently, Uncharted 2,
Oh boy,
and
nice.
and if a friend says to me, "Do you want to play on this?" I will most likely like stop playing this and go do that, because I kind of like those experience. I think that's the good thing really about games, is that I don't want to go into like the super cheesy thing, but I guess it helps you stay connected to people
Oh yeah,
really,
of course. No, it completely.
in a
That's
way.
that's
Like
fine.
me and all my friends from like my group of friends from university, we're
Hmm.
from all over the country, yet we can still come on Discord at any time and jump on like Overwatch, or we
Yeah.
can play some like PUBG or something like that. Like, everybody can kind of jump together. That's why I kind of like you said with the Sea of Thieves thing. I'm not a massive fan of playing them on my own, because I kind of feel
Yeah.
like those experiences are crafted to be played with people.
Hmm. When like this was the best thing that has literally ever happened. Like when cross-platform became a thing, and especially so I play on Xbox and my best friends play on PlayStation. So I never got to play with them ever. And this was like the first ever year I've been able to play video games, in terms of like ever since I've left home and that with my friends. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's like
That's
that's
like
so rewarding.
it personally. I think it's pretty cool now, because one of my close friends, like, he plays a lot on Xbox,
Hmm.
but he has a PC as well, so he always do that. But it's cool that he can now get certain games on Xbox, and the majority of first party games, and we can play them together.
Hmm.
While he's playing on Xbox, I'm doing it on PC.
Yeah.
I do really think it is one of those kind of. I understand all these companies are companies, and at the end of the day, it's a business. But as you were
Hmm.
saying earlier with the game, everybody's just out there
Yeah.
to kind of, have this, for everyone to have fun. Really, at the end of the day, everyone's there for the same product, and I think that's the good thing. I've like over the past like 2 years, I think Microsoft has done like really well,
Yeah.
especially with the Xbox brand, is to kind of step back on that and be like, we want everybody to play, our games, and that's where it's been very good to like have a lot of these games come to PC as well. A lot of these
Hmm.
Xbox exclusives, and it's been like quite good.
Yep, no, that's amazing. Right, thank you so much for everything you said so far. It's been great having you on.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Yeah,
So I've got so many more questions if that's okay. We've got many more to
yeah, yeah.
go.
Keep going.
So I know you were touching on it briefly at the start. So talking about graphic design, and I thought it was
Yeah,
really cool to talk about because most of my audience is like artists, etc. Obviously, game design is art as well. And it'd be great to kind of talk about your experience to graphic design, and then we'll also touch upon VR. So I want to talk about VR. It'd be awesome to dive into
yeah.
website design, and then we'll talk about your graphic design because there's so many great things that everyone can learn from in these three topics. So first things first, like graphic design, like so you worked for the Yorkshire Soap Company doing graphic design
Yes,
for them. Can you tell us a wee bit about that? Because that sounds awesome, like what you did
yes.
there.
So, I was in my final year of university, so I was kind of coming to the end of my like I want to say it was about February 2018, something like that,
Yeah,
January
yeah.
2018. So it was like my last couple of 6 months. At that point, I'd kind of fully swung into my dissertation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and at the same time, I had a lot of, because this is the thing, this is the good thing about enjoying something that you do,
Yeah,
is that you don't find you don't see it as a chore. So I
yeah.
could go home and I'd open up Maya and I'd get all my my artwork done, like
Nice.
simple kind of geometry in Maya, and
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. So I found myself having a lot of like extra spare time where I was like, oh well, I've done loads of work and I don't see it as work. I just
Mm-hmm.
so what can I do? And I saw this job posted kind of within my university. They must have like sent it to them looking for a graphic designer, and the previous I'd had no commercial kind of graphic design experience apart from I did like a scholarship with the university a year before, like working on this app,
Yep.
which I guess they could you could class that as. But I've always used Photoshop like ever since. I remember I was when I was in school when like I had like a YouTube account, and when was this, like 2000? I want to say like 2012 or something,
Right.
2011,
Sick,
when you had
dude.
like
Yeah.
custom backgrounds and stuff like that, and like you could upload like a custom background to YouTube. I remember like making some of those and stuff like that. So I've
Mm-hmm.
always like even like following tutorials. I've always like had Photoshop's always been something that's it's like one of those things that's always like on my
Always
computer.
been there. Yeah, yeah. Cool.
And same with like Illustrator because I'd use that quite a bit, and it just kind of
I've never used that before. I've
I,
still never used it at all.
I was always using Illustrator for the wrong reasons. Like it turns out graphic design, you actually use Illustrator like a lot
Right.
because it's vectors, so it's
Oh,
lossless.
yeah. Right. Okay, I
Um,
remember now.
but obviously I didn't know that, so I was always just using it because I was like, oh, kind of I think I did use it because I noticed it was like you didn't lose any image quality and things like that if you used
Yeah.
like vector shapes, but I never actually realized it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I went for like, the interview and that all went well, and I ended up working for them for about 5 6 months until I
Good.
finished university. But yeah, I worked on quite a lot of stuff there, and I really enjoyed that. I really don't, like I said, the graphic design stuff kind of just came from just something that I enjoyed really.
Yeah. No, because I thought it was just really interesting. Like when I was reading into it, like you worked in so many different things, like label designs, different
Hmm.
layouts, package designs, and
Yeah, yeah.
the really cool thing, like this was the thing, like when I saw like the social media bit as well, like at the end of the day, this is one thing I like to get across to everyone who's tuning in is like your image and like your how can I say displaying yourself as professional as possible
Hmm.
and coming across just obviously making a name for yourself somehow. And one of the things I've always tried to focus on is experimenting with, even if it's like thumbnails, my YouTube channel, how I do anything for channel art or a brand, like developing a brand. Like, I think developing a brand is so important. And
Yeah.
like, what did you learn through this? That like, what was the main things you learned through graphic design that kind of helped you like progress forward? I guess.
So in terms of graphic design, I kind of realized that a lot of you associate things with certain colors and
Mm-hmm.
like color theory, I guess, to an extent.
Yep.
So obviously their main demographic was, I think it was like females, like aged, I'm gonna say like 18 to 30, something like that.
Okay. Nice.
So they had a lot of like pastel colors and things like that that you would associate with like that kind of demographic.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one big thing I kind of learned from that without learning it in the first place, because I always just did things off my own back, was kind of understanding that that's actually a real thing.
Yep.
People don't, you might not think of it's that much of an influence, but certain colors do catch eyes, and certain colors are meant, kind of connotate different meanings, I guess, if you really look into it. But that those kind of like knowing that these things have certain like properties, I guess. That was kind of
Yep.
one thing that I was like, oh, that's quite interesting that you want to do this color because it's meant to make someone see it and go, oh, that makes me feel like
Yep.
sunny, or that kind of thing.
Definitely.
That was definitely like a quite an interesting one.
Yeah, that exactly what you just said there. That's what I want everyone to start thinking more of, because it's like just the way you think and your approach to things. Like when it comes to your level design, like game designers have, like, to me, just like the best imagination. It's the same like with concept artists. It's like those two people are just constantly being like, obviously environment artists, you name it. Like everyone's like creative in their own way. But it's like you guys are constantly like problem solving, trying to tackle new things, trying to see how the audience think, and trying to get people to obviously interact with your game. And like
Oh
that was the
yeah.
thing. It's like I think it's just so great to see, and I think so many artists need to start just thinking outside the box, but most importantly, prioritizing the audience rather than just making like a pretty picture of, you know what I mean?
Like you were saying, as much as you were saying, we think like environment artists really have to, I guess, have, like you were saying, have that level as well. Because
Yeah,
as much as I can do these boxes and shapes and be like, want
yeah,
this here, it really comes down to the environment art sometimes where it sells it on, on the air. Like the gameplay will make the level design and white box, the kind of gameplay design will make the level fun, and then
yeah, of course.
it's the environment art, I guess, that, or the art itself that really makes it like believable.
Yeah,
Like, okay, or maybe comes across a certain emotion with like how this area is set, or maybe how, because obviously on design level, I guess if you're looking at it like,
hmm,
pardon me, like the finite details, like sight lines and maybe kind of leading the player, like leading lines with kind of, maybe where you'd place like a tree line, it kind of curves off to the left, kind of
hmm,
edging the player to go that way. I guess that really then comes down to the art on top of that, of
yeah,
how that's displayed.
yeah. Like, and that's always the beauty of it, because there's so many different ways. Like, for example, when you're playing Uncharted, you would always see like the edges of the rock faces that you're climbing. They'll be very
Yeah, yeah.
exaggerated, sharpened, etc.
They're like straight to the. I guess they're very like straight to the point. Like
Yeah,
because it's like the main thing you're using it. They know exactly. You have to kind of know what you when you've got a game like that
hmm,
where you're climbing on things, you don't want to have to try and jump on it. Because I've definitely found myself in Uncharted until you find the first brick that you jump on, because
hmm,
then everything flows from there. You've got like this kind of scattered pattern of bricks, and you
yeah,
move
yeah,
along until you find that you can be jumping up at every kind of angle. Like, okay, can I get on here? Do I get on there?
yeah,
I think it's kind of making things. It's going to be kind of countering on itself, but like obvious, but not too obvious. You don't
yeah,
want to spoon. You don't want to like spoon feed the player, but you also want them to like think a little bit, but
yeah.
not to be like too frustrated about everything.
Yeah, because I was just about to say it's like you want that a wee bit of frustration of like, where's the item, where's the wall? It's like I can't find
Mm.
it, and then boom, you just see it's like, wait, really? It was that simple? It was just over
Yeah, yeah,
there.
because there's definitely been only like once or twice in Uncharted 2 where I've been like, right, what am I doing in this area? And it's like I've been going five minutes now, and then
hmm,
it will just kind of click. I'll be like, oh, I don't know if that's either me just being like not being able to find it, or it is just one of those like hiccups in terms of, is there more than just me that's done this, or do you know it's like you don't know if it is the level or if it's yourself.
yeah, awesome. Thanks for going into that. That's really sick. So the next question I was wanting to ask is, when it comes to tools, etc. So obviously you get the common question of like tools, etc. Is there anything that you've been able to download or it helps you get better at game design? There was one thing I came across the other day on a Twitch stream. It was really awesome, and it was hearing that the Dota maps were actually, you're actually able to download the Dota maps and just explore them. Is there anything that's similar to that, or any like sources that's helped you over the years?
Yeah, actually, yeah, and I will send you it after, and you
Oh,
can probably put
perfect,
it in the description.
perfect.
Basically, there's I've used it at work, and there's a few people I know that've used it. There's like a level design kind of Trello, but do you know what Trello is? It's
Right.
kind of like a website that's it's kind of it's like a loads of like trying to think of it, like boards basically,
Okay.
like mood boards and things, and it's just a whole collection of loads of like level design kind of, and even game design as well. Like there's a massive bunch of maps on there, loads of different things. It's like a big hub of loads of different kind of properties. Though that's definitely something that I've taken inspiration from on how to
Nice.
do things like that. I've always found that quite interesting. On
Awesome.
top of that, I like going back to levels that I've previously played,
Ooh.
from
Okay.
that I've really liked from games, and seeing if I can find those top-down maps. They're quite hard to find sometimes, but
Mhm.
sometimes people do like a custom one of, okay, this they've kind of found a map, or there might be some in like an old strategy guide. But
Yep.
I really find looking at top down, like you were saying with the Dota thing, like exploring the maps. Obviously, not every game you can do that, um, but it definitely is to kind of look at the maps from a top down perspective, how as
Yeah.
they would be on paper. And like I said, using that resource that I'll send you, that like those two, I kind of find are things that I'm constantly going back and forth with.
Yeah.
One more thing I found is reference. Get as much reference as possible. You can't have too little reference.
Okay.
The good thing about level design is that even though you might be doing something futuristic, like some of these elements will still exist in architecture, and
Mhm.
there's most likely, and even if it doesn't exist in real life, there's environment art, like there's kind of concept artists get on ArtStation, type in whatever the word is you're doing. Let's say, you're doing like Future City or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and just start getting as much reference as you can. The same way that you'd get reference for if you a character artist making like a character, or maybe you doing like an environment.
Yep.
Just on it, like reference is another big one for me as well. I always like to use there's a piece of software I use here called PureRef.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Dude,
Pure. I love PureRef. Yeah.
you're gonna. It's gonna make you laugh when you hear this. So I only came across PureRef this year.
Oh, mine was last year. Like, yeah.
Like everyone kept. Well, how can I say it? Sorry, I only started using PureRef this year. So last year, so I do Twitch streaming and YouTube streaming, and everyone was like, "Ross, come on, get a grip here. Where's your PureRef?"
Yeah.
I was like,
"You're like, what?
What's I've got my JPEGs here. Okay, I'm happy. And then they showed me the way.
Mine was always in Photoshop, like just Control C, Control V into Photoshop.
Same,
there we go, right?
Oh, dude.
Have that on one side, but no, PureRef is great.
It's
like,
the way to go, man.
I guess the best way to describe it for like listeners is it is basically just like a big piece of paper, and you can just put everything onto it, close it, zoom in. There's like infinite kind of zoom out. It's like a massive whiteboard, basically.
Oh, it's so sick. I was so like, I don't know. Like, do you know one of those people who're like, I'm gonna hold my ground. I'm gonna be like, yeah.
I'm sticking to using paint.
Yeah, exactly. Oh gosh, imagine that. That'd be hilarious. Back in the day, gosh, even using the phrase "back in the day," just realized how old that software is. Oh my god. Right. Awesome. Right. So the next one, because this is gonna be really interesting because I've only been able to dive in the subject for a few people. And I've worked in VR, and knowing that you've worked in VR makes this even better. So tell me, like, what's your thoughts on VR? Like, just first off, it'd be really cool to hear because I think VR is sick.
So yeah, the one thing I am ashamed of is that I don't own a VR. I've had so much VR experience, I still don't own a headset.
No
and
Oculus.
I'm quite yeah, exactly. I still don't have any of it. I used it all the time at university. I did did my dissertation. I did a project before that, like for one of my units in VR, and obviously I'm working on Sniper Elite VR. I've been working on that the whole time, so I'm constantly like going between like the PC and the headset, trying things out, off again.
Yeah.
I really like it. I think for certain games, I think the thing recently that's kind of made me go like, wow, this is like crazy is like the Valve like Index, like the Knuckles controllers.
Right.
The ones that you can kind of they've got like straps, and they've got the 5-finger touch, so of like obviously you can have like actual one-to-one interaction with things. Like I was playing Super Hot work, and just the idea of being able to actually open my hand and drop a gun and then close it, because obviously normally on the rest of the controls it's the triggers. Press the trigger, pull up, let go, hand opens. Having an actual set of controllers, which are probably the closest right now we have to like one-to-one, was like, wow, this is now as well. This is like 2020. I would think of what it will be like in 5 years when that kind of technology keeps going forward. But I've really enjoyed VR as a concept. I think you can do a lot with games in VR as well, especially it's quite, from what I found, is a lot of VR games, from what I've seen anyway, from like when I was doing things, they're kind of like smaller teams a lot of the time. Because obviously I think with the release of the PlayStation VR, like that kind of took everything to the next level, because it kind of became consumer then. Even though obviously every other headset was available to everybody, you had to have $1,500 rig to even
it costs a bomb.
And then the headset alone is £600-700 when obviously Sony brings out the headset. That was a massive kind of step up for people, I guess, which is cool. As long as you can handle it, I guess, because obviously not everybody can take the motion sickness side of things.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because like the first time I came across VR, so I had the chance to work with Disney doing VR for Ziggurat, and it was just an amazing opportunity. But so on this is really cool. Like imagine this, right? So for our interview, for my interview at the time, I literally was, before the interview started, I just got told, by the way, you can go play VR for 30 minutes. So that was like part of my interview. I was like, sweet, happy days. But it was like, I'll take that anytime if that's if that's just the interview, perfect. But it was such a cool experience. But like, just speaking of like the what you brought up, like when it comes to like the future of VR, like just imagine, right? I know they're working on, they've probably got something nailed already, they've just not announced it yet. But it's like, say when you're picking up any item, it's like you actually feel the weight somehow. Like I have no idea
Yeah,
how they would do
I
that.
yeah, I know that there's like companies and stuff that are messing around with like haptic feedback gloves.
Hmm.
Obviously, things that kind of I feel like it's probably going to be something to do with vibrations or something like that
Yeah, definitely.
on the control on the hands. But
Hmm.
it's definitely it's one of those things that I think it's because obviously there's always that thing if you try and make it as immersive as possible.
Hmm.
Yeah, people are no one's ever gonna really fully believe that they're in a real world
The
until
Oasis.
until yeah exactly. So I think the concentration really should go on to kind of making these experiences fun
Hmm.
more than like believable. That's personally just
Yeah.
what I kind of think of it. Like trying to really push the boundaries of what's fun in like what can you do in VR compared to a regular game.
Hmm.
Like a single room, like let's just say you had a room, a puzzle, and there's a puzzle in there. That could be 10 times better in VR than it would be with a controller or a mouse and keyboard
Yeah.
because you could do so much like one-to-one interaction with things.
Oh, it would be mental. But that's like the thing as well. Like, and I'm really glad you said that because at the end of the day, it's the game side of things that we enjoy the most. Even though people always like say, "Oh, push the detail," but detail only goes so far because at the end of the day, there's so
Hmm.
many great games that are like the most greatest detail of all time. Like there's one game I'm not gonna say the studio or the game, but there's one game that I really like artistically, but it gets lots of slack based because the game's literally most people say the game's pointless, but visually it's one of the best games ever. And like that's the thing. It's like VR. It's like it's getting that balance, like you said, right. But the one thing that I can't deny though, like imagine right. So say they do finally invent the way to make you actually feel like you're in a new character. You're in the Oasis. So say when I'm 90 years old and it's finally invented, it's like I'm 10 years old again,
You,
baby. Here we
you,
go.
you reversed
Yep, it'll be sick. It's just like coming in as a I don't know.
some kind of
Uh,
android.
yeah, just taking on the world, you name it. That'd be so cool. Oh, by the way, I've got a similar question in the fun section of the podcast, so that's gonna make some good discussions.
I look forward to that.
Oh, there's so many random ones. The last section I thought would be really important. I've got so many other questions, but I realize there's so many questions I can ask. So going to website design.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I realize that there's so many students out there who are, like even yourself, you said at the start of the podcast that you're developing your website, you're trying to get to the next level, and I was saying it to you at the start that your website is great and it's awesome to see. And I think once again going back to the world of social media, presenting yourself is like that way to once again coming across as being professional and showing that you care about the whole kind of package, if you know what I mean. And like, if you had to describe like what makes a good website in your eyes through your experience.
So personally, to me, I like it. Like for example, my new website, I'm going to use like a one-page layout, make it a lot more simplified. It doesn't need to have all these pages because now I've got that experience. I'm not trying to show off everything.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, obviously, I want to get every piece of work on there to really kind of push it.
Yep.
But less is better in some cases. More better pieces, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Definitely.
less kind of little kind of off pieces, more like top notch ones. Another one I'd probably say is don't even bother making your own website unless you're going into web design or
Yep.
web development. Just follow like use Wix or I use Wix on my last one.
Yep.
I'm going to use I think it's called let me
Oh,
find
I'm
it.
intrigued. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, this is a good one if I can get the link. Oh, it's called Card.
Oh, right. I've never heard of
With
this.
two R's, CARRD dot
Right.
CO. It's like a one page layout website, and I've
Mm-hmm.
started kind of developing some stuff with it, and I found that very. It's just one of those ones. It's very easy to drag and drop things on there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finally, it's only taken me some 2 years, but I'm finally going to buy a domain and get everything set up on the website and stuff like that. Because
Good. Nice.
I kind of want just something there, especially when it's not that that much. But
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing I wouldn't worry about that stuff to start. Like just get everything on somewhere on a website that you can. It's easy to access. There's a link, and it's not too confusing to navigate.
Yeah. Oh, like that's awesome because the reason why I wanted to dive into this section was the fact that I completely forget. I'm not sure, Jake, if you know what I'm talking about here. So there is a Twitch stream channel. I think it's been around for years. If anyone knows in the chat, please put it in the comments. It'd be much appreciated. So there's a Twitch channel that's basically for audio artists, and these artists basically go through everyone's website, and they break
Yeah.
down like everything that's the pros and cons of what they're doing wrong, what they're doing right. Because like you said, simplicity is the key, and getting straight to the point. Obviously, sometimes it's nice to go very decorative and trying to push the boundaries of your
Yeah.
design, but it's like that. It's like that the balance once again, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think like you said, trying to push it is what you want to do if that's what you want to do. If
Mm-hmm.
you want to do website design and website like development,
Mm-hmm.
100% make the website as intuitive and kind of interactive as possible because it
Yeah.
shows you can do that. There's no need to do that if you're showing off your artwork or
Yeah.
designs.
So
Like
like
I guess if you think about it, like I guess retention time, there's only going to be so long that people are going to look at your websites. I guess
yeah,
it's the same with a CV when they're kind of
yeah,
too long.
definitely.
People are only going to look at it for so long before, okay, can I find the thing I'm looking for within like 3 clicks or, on a page?
Yeah.
You don't want to bury things like 16 level deep.
Perfect. No, that's a great answer because at the end of the day, like for example, I just like my website is my ArtStation. Like that's my page, and people may be like, "Oh, that's not a website," but technically it is in some
Oh
sense.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's like
100%. I think it's
like it's your page if you know what I mean. Like it's your how can I say it? It's like it's where your audience or where your traffic's coming in to see whether or not you're capable. Because like that's the beauty thing about ArtStation as well. It's like it's not only just to showcase your work. Like there's jobs promoted on there. You name it. There's
kind of
competitions
all in
and
one.
all in one. And like there's so many room or like there's so many eyes that you can get towards your portfolio if you do it right. Like that's why I always say to everyone, as repetitively as I say it, I always say thumbnail is number one. Like you have to try and nail
Oh
down
yeah.
the basic. Like, if people get it wrong, everything just falls apart. You know what I mean?
You want something eye catching, I guess, and it's like it's a good. I'm glad you kind of brought up the whole ArtStation thing because I really think ArtStation is like obviously it's kind of a shame that I can't really use it to its full
Yeah,
potential. But from when I've seen it, I think ArtStation is really like it's a nice layout. Like you have the kind of square thumbnail images of all the
yeah,
things you click into it. I'm like, can you like embed those 3D like image like when you can upload your models to like those 3D
yeah,
viewer
yeah, yeah,
websites? Can
yeah,
you can so I mean so you can like embed that on there. You have some description at the side.
yeah,
That's what I think is like super cool about it. It is kind of that's the kind of thing like straight to the point is what I want to do with my new website.
yeah.
Kind of have everything on one page.
That'd be like so cool.
You
The
know,
white boxes, like imagine having that, like
yeah,
just
yeah,
like a layout,
exactly,
like a
yeah.
section, instant click, and you're just like you can like it's almost like have you heard of Marmoset Viewer?
I have not no.
Or what's the other thing in Unity? Or do you like in Unreal? You can just like you said at the start, you can just walk around your scene. Like
Oh right, yeah.
like imagine having like just like five of them. That's just instantly one click. You can just keep going through all your games so easily. That'd
And
be
just
so
kind of
cool.
look through things.
That'd be so sick. That'd be
It'd
nice
be
and
cool,
clean.
yeah, to have something embedded on the website.
Yeah, that's
But
super cool.
I think that's one good thing why I guess artists is most likely at the rate that I would. This is just personally what I found. The rate that I would produce a white box,
Mhm.
potentially someone doing art might have already produced 2 or 3 pieces.
Yeah.
It depends on the scale, obviously, of everything. If I make a smaller white box, I think that's what ArtStation is quite good for, is because you can get everything onto there.
Yeah. Very true. Awesome. Oh, dude, this podcast has been such a pleasure, man. It's been great
Oh,
having you on.
thank you. No, I've really enjoyed it. Yeah.
So here's the fun section. This is the crazy section. So this is where the most randomest questions. I call it 500 seconds, but everyone knows it's not. That's my phrase from now on. I've been using it for the last month because I just talk about this section for ages because you have no
Like to
idea.
pretend it is.
Pardon?
Like to pretend it's there. 500 break.
Yeah.
Go on for longer.
So it was called 500 seconds originally, but then I just got so carried away talking about this most fun topics ever to me. Like I was just geeking out, just finding out more information about the guests and just the most random discussions, really cool discussions just come up, and it's just super nice because it's like I was trying to figure out a different take to do the podcast, and it's like you know what, this just like a would you rather kind of section. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right, here we go. Are you ready, Jake?
I am. Right, I'm relaxed.
It's like the pressure's gone. Right. In the Aliens and Predators franchise, if you were in a fight, who do you want backing you? The aliens or the Predators?
Oh, I'm gonna go the Predators.
So why would it be the Predators?
I'm gonna go purely on weaponry and how I've seen them. I mean, it's not the greatest films, are they? The AVP franchise, but I guess how the Predators act in terms of
Yeah,
taking down like other species. I'm gonna go with predators. I'm gonna
Okay.
stick with predators on that one.
Nice, because like when I was thinking of it, I was like, so I prefer predators over aliens. However, if there was like tons, like for example, if it was like 10 aliens versus 10 predators, I don't know. I think the aliens are the most intimidating. Just having them,
Yeah, I was
just
gonna say. At least I think I kind of feel the predators have got a bit of empathy, a bit of
yeah,
kind
true.
of they're quite a little bit human like.
Yeah, they actually care.
Yeah,
It's some essence of the word.
wouldn't turn around.
Well, that's the thing. I actually thought the Aliens versus Predator movie was sick. I know the fans of the like. I'm so sorry if everyone's tuning in if you don't like that film, but I thought that film was dope.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, it's it gets flack. I remember seeing it when it was like around the time it was out. I thought it
Right.
was cool.
Yeah, I thought it was sick. Like, oh, but this is such a contrast to the next question. But I hope you've seen these films. Right, this is like childhood's classics at its finest. Right. Do you prefer Stuart Little or Babe?
Oh, Stuart Little.
Oh,
Any
nailed
day.
it. Right. Okay.
Straight,
Nice.
straight down with Stuart Little.
Dude, I'm not sure if you ever got to watch this, right? Everyone who lives in the UK, I'm sure this was, it might have been in other countries as well. Did you ever watch the cartoon version on
I
BBC of
I
Stuart
did.
Little?
I saw some, but I remember
Right?
having the like Stuart Little and Stuart Little 2 on like VHS tape and just
Yeah.
having them like on like I'd go to bed and my parents had set like the TV, it's like a
Mm,
timer, like oh it's gonna go off in 30 minutes. I get to watch 30 minutes of Stuart Little in his car.
nice. Oh, that's so cool. Like, just imagine like the little boat where he's like, when he's going under the bridge and like, oh gosh, imagine having a wee pet like that in real life. That'd be so sick.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Just the adventures you get. Right. This is a question. So I've asked this once. This is the one. I don't know why I want this. I want to do this in real life, but this is going to sound crazy. Right. Would you rather be thrown into the Hunger Games or put into the maze? So Maze Runner. Have you ever seen
Oh
Maze
yeah,
Runner?
yeah, yeah, I have actually. Yeah.
So
I
what
think
would you
it's quite
choose?
good. Yeah. Um, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the maze in. Oh, actually,
Oh,
do you get all the stuff before they go into the maze in Maze Run? I guess do you get like the
so
kind of the
so
little community beforehand, or is it just straight into the maze?
so I would say you'll be the same as Tom. So literally, there's already the community, so there'll already be the 30 people or whatever. And then the same as Hunger Games. Obviously, you have to get your gear, get things rolling, take it from there.
Okay, right. I'm gonna stick with the maze then. I feel like I could establish a bit more of a friendship community there.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't just got one other person that's with me. Actually,
Yeah,
no, sorry, I forgot in Hunger Games you are on your own. Yeah, you don't even have
yeah.
another person.
Well, like
Like I
that's
was saying earlier with the multiplayer games, I prefer to play with do things with people.
yeah,
So
smart person, man,
I'm
smart
gonna
person.
stick the team. I'm gonna take to the teams.
Because I'm actually going the opposite answer with you, man. I'm gonna go with the Hunger Games because I want the glory.
I think you don't want to trust anybody else.
Yeah, full on Leeds United mode. Come on, Leeds fans, get your Leeds topped on, boys.
Everybody straight to it.
Yeah, just straight to war. Here we go, boys. It'll be such a good laugh. Well, actually, it would be a good laugh. What we're saying.
I was gonna say, yeah, it depends if you're on the receiving end or the winning end.
Yeah, very true. And whether or not they change the rules last minute. So is it what last survivor? Or is there two survivors left in the rules?
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, there you go.
Well, like that's the thing. Like I don't know. Like like so when I grew up, right? So I was always going camping, etc., and getting involved with outdoors. So I'm a very outdoor heavy person. So I know I can look
Yeah.
myself. Like I can look after myself. Like for example, this may sound crazy, but say for example, if I'm out in the wild, I know how to handle myself pretty well. And like that's always like the thing is like I was like when I saw Katniss Everdeen just like with the fire, you name it, everything, I was like, this actually looks pretty dope.
You're like, this is me. This is
Yeah.
I've got this locked down. I'll be winning
Yeah,
this.
I've
And then
got a
you forget
chance.
about the killing side, and you're like, oh,
Oh yeah, just
well,
we
that's
ignore that. We'll just pretend that that's
forget
not
that.
as
It's just a
awesome.
big camping trip.
Yeah, exactly. I know my archery. No, actually, that's actually the thing I'm the worst at in history. Like I did, I went to this leadership course. It was actually a really cool experience, and I realized that the one thing I might be the worst at in history is archery. Like I'm so bad.
Yeah, I did some in scouts like when I was younger,
Yeah,
but obviously I was a child and I was like quite weak, so I think that's the worst thing I didn't like about
yeah.
it. It's like, oh, the bow hurts my arm. I can't do that.
Dude, it's just like when I like this is the thing. So when I was on the course, right? So I'd be like taking the shot, and the arrow would already be dropping before I hit the shot.
You'd be like, it's just
Yeah,
drops.
I was that bad. I was just one of those guys. I was like, ah, just give up. Just stick to football, Ross.
Just stay with it.
Yeah. Right. Next one. Favorite cartoon as a kid.
Oh, favorite cartoon as a kid. 100%. There's a few different ones, but I'd have to
I
go
like.
with like.
Oh, I
All
like to
right,
have three.
I guess yeah. Okay, right. I'll go with like. I guess Scooby-Doo. It was like always on like a boomerang, like
Yep,
classic Scooby-Doo was
classic.
always on there. I think more now. Stuff. Can I go with? I guess it's not necessarily a cartoon, but it is still a kids show.
Mm-hmm.
Around the time, Goosebumps. Watched a lot of
Oh, dude,
Goosebumps.
I've not seen that in
Classic.
ages. Right, okay.
Yeah,
That's
it's
memories back now.
exactly
Jesus,
up
right?
until a few years ago. They were all on Netflix. Used to watch them like
Yeah,
on repeat. At university, just get it on all the time.
yeah.
Watching Goosebumps like 4 in the morning.
Oh my
Beautiful.
gosh. That oh gee whiz, that just brought back another show as well. What's it called? Right,
Is it?
dude, try and tell me if you remember this, right? By the way, UK fans, you're gonna love this. I hope when you hear this. Right, what is the show? It was like about a witch. It's like the Shoe Boy. It was like a boy. He was like a ghost. Tell me if you remember this? It's like a CBBC show, and oh gosh, I need to type this in. This is like a must. Oh, and then another classic was Arthur. Did you ever watch Arthur?
Yeah. Yep.
Arthur was so good. Oh god, what was it? It was a Ghost Hunter. Did you ever watch Ghost Hunter? Yeah, it
Ghost
is.
Hunter.
Oh, dude, man, this is a classic, right? So this came out in 2000s, right? If anyone is a 90s kid, right, and you've seen the Ghost Hunter, please see it. So this was literally one of my oh my god, you just literally when you said Goosebumps, this is for some reason made
Bro,
this
it's
show.
straight back.
I was like, I've not seen this show in decades, dude. Oh my god, what a classic this is! Please, if anyone's in it who's a 90s kid and they've seen the
Oh
Ghost
yes.
Hunter, do you remember this at all?
Yeah. Now I've just looked it up. I've just seen it. There's just like
Any
there's
memories?
just all of series one in one episode on YouTube.
Yeah,
I recognize the characters.
like that was literally my childhood, like one of my childhood. It was that, and then I like to say Tracy Beaker.
Oh, Tristan Baker. There was a lot of CBBC stuff that I
Yeah,
watched. A lot of CBBC. A lot of stuff on like CITV as well, I
mm-hmm.
guess.
Like Blue Peter,
Um, Blue Peter. I guess you had like Jungle Run.
Smart. Oh, Jungle Run.
Smart as well.
Yes.
Art
Oh
Attack.
boy, Art
Actually, that's
Attack,
another one.
classic.
I used to a third one. I guess I'll go with. We'll go with like I know two of them aren't cartoons. We'll go Scooby Doo,
Mm-hmm.
Goosebumps, and Art Attack was like a massive.
Yeah,
Used to always have like VHS retapes. So my grandma used to like tape over the top and stuff.
yeah.
Like Art Attack reruns. I'd sit there in front of the TV watching Smart Attack, doing some little crafts.
Oh, dude, like everything's every. Did you? I just remember Bamzuki.
Bamzuki as well.
What a banger that is.
You can like play. I remember you could play like a version of Bamzuki online and
Yeah.
stuff. Oh, that's sick. Robot Wars is just
Oh,
too much
Robot
stuff.
Wars, there's so much memories. It's brilliant. See, this is why I love this part of the podcast. It's literally just childhood
Everything
memories.
just comes out.
Dude, it's so. We could talk about this for ages. Oh, wait. What's the other one? Oh, no, I'm going to get too carried away. Next question. Oh, it's so good, childhood. Cartoons are the best, man. Oh my god.
Nostalgia.
Right. This one I was struggling so much with. So have you watched much of the Avengers? Are you a Marvel person?
I am indeed, yes.
Okay. So of the 6 Infinity Stones in the Avengers, what would you rather choose? So you got the Soul Stone, the Reality Stone, the Space Stone, Power Stone, Time Stone, and the Mind Stone. If you had to choose one, what are you going to take? I know it's a lot of options.
I feel like if I'm going with like, I guess you have to thinking in kind of benefits. I kind of feel like the time.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of feel like Time Stone would probably do the best in terms of. I'm not going to go crazy with it, but it means I can do things low key on my side. I can.
That is true.
Restore things, move through time with the right kind of gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with like time.
Good answer. No, that's a good answer.
What about yourself?
So this is gonna sound so cliche, but I was just thinking, you know what, Power Stone, screw it,
Straight
why not?
to the power.
Just give me it all.
You're not gonna stay low key. You're just gonna have everything. You're gonna kind of like.
I'll be like, Hunger Games. This is easy, boy.
Yeah. Straight to it.
Straight in Thanos. I just got the gauntlet. Come on, can't this ever do?
End it straight away.
I've got a click.
Boom.
It's like gone. No, but I don't know. Like, I think you've actually got the best answer there. Like, I think that's the most intelligent choice to go with.
It seems quite reasonable, isn't it? It's like,
yeah. Like, I don't know. Like the Mind Stone to me, I just don't like. I
don't think I could have a use for it.
Yeah,
it's
I think it's too deep to me. I think it's too much going on. It's like
quite evil genius like, and it's like I don't
too
think
much
it'd be much
control.
use.
Oh gosh. Right. Next question. I think I already know the answer. Xbox or PlayStation?
Oh, Xbox. Xbox is. I
Perfect.
grew up on Xbox.
Same. Can't go wrong with Xbox.
Exactly.
I will always be on Xbox, even though all my friends
Well,
were on PlayStation.
I don't have an Xbox One because I have a PC. I have a PlayStation 4, but everything before that it was like my consoles kind of went Dreamcast,
Hmm.
Xbox 360. That thing I was hammered that all the
Yeah.
time throughout like middle, like high school. Always Xbox Live, Get Home,
Yeah.
Modern Warfare 2, Halo.
Oh,
You know all these things.
right. Oh, dude. When it comes to Modern Warfare 2, right? Right. I know people are probably gonna say, I know you guys did this, right? Who did the nuke boost? You know you did it. Everyone nuke boosted at least once with your tactical insertion. Come on, I did it once. I only once, believe it or not.
You
But
got the care package glitch. You got
yeah,
the models. You know the overpowered models when
you,
they were out at the time.
you name it, everything. The glitch spots is just hiding everywhere. Sniping on Rasta, classic.
Oh, getting to the top of high rise as well. You know
Oh
on
boy,
top of the building.
just spit 360 spins off the helipad. You name
Good
it.
shot. Last kills only.
Yeah, oh, memories, man, memories. Right, this one's gonna be interesting because I think it's gonna be a bit of conflict for you. Counter Strike or Overwatch?
Oh, do you know what? As much as
The
it
hardest
is
question today.
because watching
Hmm.
Counter Strike any day, but like playing, even though pretty much all my friends also play Counter Strike,
Hmm.
we're all a lot better at Overwatch.
Oh, right, okay, nice.
So yeah, see, I can't split into two answers. I have to pick one. So I'm just going to clarify, I guess. Counter Strike if it's watching,
Yeah,
Overwatch if it's playing. I guess
okay.
I care more about the playing, so I'm going to go with Overwatch on that one.
Overwatch.
Only by I want to say it's 51% to
Okay,
49, just slightly.
I'll let you off. I'll let you off. I'll be nice. I'll be nice. So we got four more questions. Favorite movie and why?
My favorite movie. It's a very weird one. I really like the David Fincher, the Social Network.
Oh,
The
yeah, yeah.
the movie about Facebook. It sounds
Good
like
answer.
such a weird one, but yeah, it's actually a really good movie.
I watched that literally only 3 weeks ago, so
Yeah,
that's really
it's
good that you brought
really
that up.
good.
It
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Like anything. Well, I'll just ask. So, what is it that you enjoyed the most about it?
There's something about like everybody that's in it, and I think the music as well is like great. It's one of those movies as well. You don't realize that there's a lot of CGI in it, like loads.
Is it
Like
right? Okay, I didn't even notice. Right.
like loads of it is CGI.
Mm-hmm.
And after I found that out as well, I went back and watched it, and I was like, wow, you can't even see a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of shots in it that you wouldn't expect that are just all completely computer. But
Right.
no, I think the one thing that sticks in my mind is the music.
Mm-hmm. Nah, nice choice. Like any of those kind of films, any movie to me that makes you properly think is a film for me. Like that's the way I always like any film. Like I'm not sure if you're a fan. Did you watch Good Will Hunting?
Yeah,
I think so that's definitely on my top 10 films of all time, like just films that are very intelligent based or based on like true stories as well, even though that there's obviously
I
there's
do like a
fake
lot
as
of
well.
biopics as well. I think that's maybe
Yeah,
why I like kind of, even though sometimes obviously the truth is kind of stretched to make it
of course.
entertaining, but I kind of tend to enjoy those.
Yeah, awesome answer. So carrying on in the movie theme, favorite Disney movie?
Oh shit. Um, Favorite Disney movie.
Is there anyone that's just like
Yeah,
that's a childhood?
I'm trying to think what like jumps out instantly. I know when I was when I was quite young, I used to enjoy watching. It's like super random, but it's one of those ones that's like the more obscure Disney. I used to
Mhm.
enjoy watching a lot of Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah.
I
Oh
know
no,
that was
that's
like
the great. Oh yes,
yeah, it's good.
Emperor's New Groove, Atlantis style.
Atlantis, like another one. Atlantis is
Yeah,
like
yeah,
another one that was like super kind of didn't. I don't think he did as well, so a lot of people
yeah,
didn't see it and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm gonna go with that I can think of now.
yeah.
Emperor's New Groove. I've got a lot of memories of watching.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a good answer. Like it was that whole style. Like those films were like obviously you have the iconic ones that everyone watched all the time, but it was like there was like four films that I felt were just like they were so good. So you have like Emperor's New Groove, Treasure Planet,
Treasure Planet. That's the other one I was thinking of.
Treasure
Yeah.
Planet. Dude, Treasure Planet is just sick.
I remember Hercules being quite good as well.
That was the other one I almost forgot.
Yeah.
Hercules. I always sing on stream. I like a wee bit of karaoke when I'm streaming. And I'm just like, can you go the distance? And get the chat rolling. Everyone's just rocking. It's brilliant.
Everyone gets in.
Yeah, everyone's just singing along. Victor, if you're truly in, you know you enjoy singing along, mate. So 3 more questions. I said earlier there was 4. I lied. There's 3 more now. Would you rather be Han Solo or Indiana Jones?
I'm gonna go with Indiana Jones.
Same. Oh,
I kind of feel like it's grounded a little bit more realism.
Mm-hmm.
I get to explore parts of the. I think I'm interested in exploring parts of the world, like unknown areas. I understand you can explore unknown parts of the galaxy, but I feel like it's more risk, more reward with Indiana Jones.
Yeah, nah, it's a great answer. I don't know. It's like I'm a bit of a like kind of 50-50 in terms of the films. I think the films are like I'm a diehard Spielberg fan. Like I've always like. I could just research and dispute. Like I know so much about Spielberg. I love love the guy to death. I think he makes amazing films. But like the films to me, they're like they're kind of like they're good, but they're cheesy. If you know what I mean. It's like
There's enough to them to watch, but then it doesn't go super into like realism.
Definitely, just eating the brains of a monkey because why
the little
not?
Monkey, the monkey one.
Just this. That scene's. There's so many stories you can get from Indiana Jones, but I don't know. I just preferred his character, for Harrison Ford for that. Like, but then again, he's such a legend. There's so many great films he's done.
And I think he probably actually enjoyed playing Indiana Jones as well.
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't want to spoil it. Never mind. I'm not going to say next subject. There's a spoiler that got released, so I'm not saying anything about something to do with her. Next subject. Right. 2 questions left. Would you rather fight the Nazgul or the Dementors?
I kind of feel like, as much as I think the Dementors would be like bad, I've seen them being defeated enough times that I feel like if I had a similar power level, I feel like could do something. That, I mean, if I was just me right now, I feel like both of those I would not do good with whatsoever. But I feel like on that level, I'm gonna go with the Dementors. I think. Yeah. I feel like You think that's a solid choice. I feel like it could kind of they've moved, especially when they move quite slow as well. Sometimes if they were the bit faster in some of the other movies, but when it's the slow ones, like when it's coming down the train carriage, I'd be like, I feel like that'd be perfect. You could easily defeat those ones.
You have a choice. You have more of a chance there. Like that's the thing as well. Like imagine like for example, if I had to, it probably make it even harder. Like for example, if you're going up against the Witch King of Angmar, you're just like, yep, get me out of there.
Yeah, you don't know what you could do. I'm not messing with any of that. I'm just
get me out. He destroyed Gandalf's staff. You know, he's not meant to be messed with.
I do not want to mess with that.
Yeah. Right. So the last question I ask every single podcast: if you could have any animal in the animal kingdom or a fantasy creature as a pet, the size of a laptop, so really small, what would you choose and why?
The size of a laptop.
Yeah. So it'd be like, you can have like any animal. So to give you some examples, we've had. My personal favorite, Ryan, if you're listening to this, you know you're a legend for this answer. So this is going to be hard to beat, Jake. So he said, it's just because I'm a Harry Potter addict. He said one of the characters from Fantastic Beasts. God, my mind's gone blank. God, I can't believe it. What's it called? Fantastic Beasts creatures. What are they called? Oh, there we go. So the Bowtruckle. Do you remember the Bowtruckle in Fantastic? The little green guy who can pick the locks?
Yes, yeah. Who looks like a leaf.
Yeah.
And looks like a stick insect.
So he said that merged with like a dancing Groot. So like Groot combined with him. So like that was his kind of idea of what he'd go with. I can't believe I forgot that. My mind.
Am I merging the two then? If I can think of two.
Oh well, you don't have to. You can say any choice. You can even say a line as well. Whatever you think.
Right. I kind of want to go with. Say if I'm gonna pick a regular Animal Kingdom, and I'm gonna go with like something from a movie that I guess is like a creature.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go a penguin.
Oh,
It's
nice.
like
Okay.
so it's all round. It can live in this condition as well.
Hmm.
And have you seen Men in Black?
Oh, yep, I've seen it.
You
Yep.
know the kind of little kind of stick insect looking. There's like
Dude.
the trio of
Yeah,
guys.
yeah. That's
Imagine I'm gonna take the personality from that guy, put it into a little penguin. I
yeah.
think I'd have that any day.
That's a sick
It's about
answer.
like this size as well.
Yeah, yeah. I've not. You're the first person. So obviously I've done 80 podcasts, but I never thought of that at all. Great
It's the first
answer.
thing that it came to like. I mean, if I could take two things together,
Yeah.
I'll take the little penguin
Hmm.
merged with I forgot the name of the
Oh, wait, what are they called? They're so
that's
good.
all
Right. Men in. I'll let you type it.
let's have a look.
That is. This has been such a great episode. So much nostalgia. It's unreal right now. Men
I
in
had
Black.
to describe the
Do you
how
remember as
the
well when Michael Jackson was in the second film?
yeah 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 yeah.
Like it was he in the first film or second film? First
No,
film.
he's in the second one. I think
Second, yeah.
it makes a cameo. Oh, I've I've got a video, but it's not showing what the
You know
names
what their names?
are.
I just were like, oh, dude, like remember the scene right when the second film when the girl who's the star walks into the small room and then they're just all
Yeah, they're in the
chilling.
bed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and they're just rocking up. What's up?
there's like just load just in the room,
Oh, and then you just see the whole wall with all the weapons, and they're just picking up, just rocking up. They're like,
just
"Here we
messing
go."
around with like rifles.
That's classic.
I don't know why that came to mind, but
What an answer! That is a great way to finish the podcast, Jake. It has been a
brilliant.
pleasure having you on the
Dude, it's
podcast,
been
man.
sick. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thank you
Such a
very
good
much for having
laugh,
me on.
and
It's been. I hope it's been helpful and everyone got some enjoyment out of this.
oh, it certainly has been. I've learned a ton, man.
Um,
Everyone who's tuning in, make sure to check out Jake's work. His links will be in the description below. And as always, you'll be seeing his whole slideshow playing in the background of everything possible, you name it. And follow him on Twitter. As always, you'll see it in the links and also in the slideshow. If you guys are tuning in on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. As always, smash the like button if you enjoyed, and turn on notifications to be notified every single week when the podcast is live. But with that said, folks, we will see you guys next episode. Bye for now.